Hi, this is Debbie and welcome to Book and Bujo, where you'll find all things books and stationery. Today I want to go through the top 10 series that I want to complete in 2023. So let's start with the book clubs and read-alongs that I'm going to be participating in 2023. And these series won't count in my top 10 because these ones are kind of like have to read, sort of. So we're going to start with the Shadowhunter read-along. So this is with Love, Lisa, and Darian Reads, and we are about halfway through, maybe a little over halfway through the reading through Cassandra Clare's books. I just finished Lord of Shadows, which is the second book in the Dark Artifices, and I will be moving on in February to the third book, which is Queen of Air and Darkness. So I think there's about 9 or 10 books left, including the one that Chain of Thorns that comes out at the end of January. So next I am participating in the Malazan read-along, and that is with Shelf-Centered, Kaylee's Books, and a few other booktubers that got together for the Malazan read-along. And it's really cool. So this group is comprised of newbies to Malazan and also alumni to Malazan, those who have read through the series and they're reading it along again with those of us who have never read it, which is kind of nice because you get a little bit different perspective. They're like, no, it's okay if you're confused right now. It'll come up later, you know, and some of those kind of things, which is kind of nice. So I just finished the second book, Dead House Gates of Malazan by Stephen Erickson, and I think there's 10 books in the series, so there's 8 books left. So the third book is next up for February, and that's Memories of Ice. So the next read-along is the Wheel of Time read-along, and that is with Got a Thing for Things, and this series is by Robert Jordan, and I got through the first book, The Eye of the World. And so February I will be starting The Great Hunt. And then with Literary Diversions, we are doing Around the Disc in 800. So we'll be reading the Discworld series. So there's like 42 books or so in that series. Oh, and I got this I have this fun stool because Walter keeps stealing my chair. So I'm on my stool, but it yay! So sorry if I keep spitting because it's just fun. Okay, so anyway, back to Around the Disc in 800. So basically it's going to take about 800 days to make it through the series kind of thing. And so we finished the first 2 books in January, which was The Color of Magic, and I'm in the middle of The Light Fantastic right now, so I'll finish that by the end of the month. And so February is Equal Rights and Mort, so the 3rd and 4th book. Most of the months you have 2 books that you read because most of them are under 300 pages, so it's pretty easy to get 2 of them in. And next we have the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, and that is being hosted by Elliot Brooks. And the first book is Way of Kings, and so you have January and February to read that. I have not started it yet, so I'm pretty much going to be reading that in February. And then the Catchup Book Club, which is with Becca and the Books, Cody's Book Corner, and a whole lot more. And that is the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie, and The Blade itself is the book for January and February, and I just started that, so I'm only like on page 12 or something. So that's the series that I'm going to be reading for book clubs and read-alongs. But the top 10 series I want to actually complete that I've already started in previous years, and I want to actually finish them in 2023. So in no real particular order, but the first one is the Runes series by Edna Walters, and I'm on Witches. I actually read one book out of order. I thought I had already read Witches, but I hadn't. So I read like the 8th book, and I'm like, oh, well, shoot. In that one, I'm like, I feel like I should have read about this. Like there should have been a book about this thing that happened, but I didn't see anything. Like I felt like I was still able to follow the story easily. But yeah, I missed one. So I read Goddess first instead of Witches, but there we go. So Witches, and then I have one more full book and then a novella to read for that series, and then I'll be done. One that I started last year was a Slip trilogy by David Estes. So this one is a sci-fi dystopian. Runes is a mythology fantasy. So Slip is a sci-fi dystopian and a trilogy. So Slip, Grip, and Flip. Flip, Trip, Flip. I think it's Flip. Slip, Grip, and Flip by David Estes. So I'm hoping to get that one finished this year. So it was really interesting book. I liked the first one. So I also am reading through Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson books, like the whole series, not just the 5 Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief kind of books, Heroes of Olympus and all of those ones. So I'm on Magnus Chase. So I read the first book, so there's 2 more in that, the Magnus Chase trilogy, and then I have the Trials of Apollo, and they kind of interweave themselves, so I'm doing it more by how they interact storyline wise. So it's basically like a Magnus Chase book and a Trials of Apollo book, Magnus Chase, Trials of Apollo, that kind of thing. So I finished the Magnus Chase book, the first one, The Sword of Summer, I think is what the first one is. And now I have the Hammer of Thor. But I'll have to double check to make sure it's the Hammer of Thor, Magnus Chase, and not one of the Trials of Apollo. But I'll double check that one. So that's another one I would love to finish. I think there's I have 8 to 10 books left for that. And then I can read some of Rick Riordan's other books. He actually has some adult books too, in case you're interested and don't want to read YA of his. Then we have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. So I read the first, 6-ish books when they came out. So I have Lightbringer that I still need to read, the one that's just came out or is just coming out. And then the book he still has yet to be written. So the completed series, so basically I want to either complete series or get to the point where the final book the author has written at this point. So that's what this one is. So Red Rising, love it. I actually kind of want to reread the whole series, but I'll probably just read the Lightbringer, and once I'm done with a lot of my other read-alongs that are all like 800-page fantasy, epic fantasy books, I might reread all of the Pierce Brown books. So my next one is, so the 5th one is Of Cinder and Bone, and that's by Kyoko M. And the next book I read the first 2 books last year and in 2022, and so I'm on the 3rd book, which is Of Dawn and Embers. And there's 5 or 6 books total, so I think I have 3 books left, so that would be 5 books total. And Of Dawn and Embers, and this one is really cool about bringing some kind of like cloning, but of animals, and so they're bringing dragons back into the world. So it's pretty exciting. I liked that one, and the characters are really fun. They're snarky and sarcastic, and I love that. Which is also why I love like Red Rising and some of those other books too. Okay, and then The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. So I read the first book last year, and so I have The Dragon Republic this year, and then there's one more after that. And I think there's like a little novella or a compilation or something else in there that I might take a look at if I can find it. 7th is The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill, and the next one I am on is The Exile, and I think I have 3 books left. So Of War and Ruin is the next one that just came out like Monday, I think. So I was so excited to get that email and know that I just got that book in. So I had pre-ordered that one, so very excited for that one. And he has some really cool, the first 2 books are available on the Broken Binding. I so wish I could buy a book right now because they're beautiful, beautiful. I just have the Kindle books, which makes it very convenient though. So yes, the Bound and the Broken series. So I have, so you have The Fall, which is the first novella, which is usually the best one to start with. And then you have the next 2 books, and then you have The Exile, which is the next novella, which is the one I'm on. And then the final book that just came out. And then I know he's writing 1 or 2 more. I think there's going to be 5 main books in the series, and then quite a few novellas. He already has 2. I think he has 2 or 3 more planned. So the next one is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin, and I am on the 3rd and final book, and that's of Gods and Monsters. So I finally got that one, and I'm hoping that I can just kind of get back into it and not have to reread the other 2. Like, I would actually like to read all 3 of them again on a reread, but I'm not sure if I want to do that right now or not. So I will start the third book and see if I'm lost and like, who are these people again? Then I'll go back and reread the other two. I definitely liked Of Serpent and Dove better than Of Blood and Honey, but I think on a reread and after reading the third book and then doing a full reread of the trilogy, I think that book, I would like that book a lot more, but we'll see. And then The Brown Sisters by Talia Hibbert. So I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. And that one was really cute. I like that one. And then I'm on the second book, which is Take a Hint, Danny Brown. And then there's one more book after that. So I'm hoping to finish that trilogy this year. And then the last one I hope to finish that I've already started is the Locked Tomb trilogy by Tamsin Muir. And I'm on Nona the Ninth. And that's the last, third and final book in that series. So I liked Gideon the Ninth best. That's the first book, just because of the sarcasm and the humor, the dry humor, and all of that. I think I liked that one the best. The second book, Harrow the Ninth, was okay. It was good. I enjoyed it, but it didn't have that same kick that the first book did with the sarcasm that I liked in the dry comedy. We'll see how the third book comes out. And then the last thing I want to mention is 3 series I would like to actually start in 2023. They've been on my list for a while, and I just haven't started them yet. The first one is Kingfall by David Estes. So I have read the Fate Mark series, which is a 5-book series. Kingfall is also a 5-book series, and that was so good. That one was right up there with Lord of the Rings for me. Like, I loved that book series. It was just so dynamic. The characters, the world building, the storyline, the plot, how the intricacies of everything, the magic system was interesting, like, and how everything just interwove into each other. It was just on point the whole way through. Loved it. So it was a 5-star series. Every book was a 5-star. Loved it. He also has a couple of compilations of short stories, sort of, that give you the backstory of most of the main characters that are in the books, which is also really cool. So you get to find out what happened to them before they were in the Fate Mark series, so, or how they got to that point. So that was really enjoyable. The next one I would like to start is The Memoirs of Lady Trent by Marie Brennan, and I believe there's 7 books in that series. That one just looks like it's fun. It's got dragons. I mean, how can you not like it? Yeah, and it came highly recommended by The Wild Sasha. And then the last one is A Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell. There's quite a few. I really want to read its Greatcoat series, but I actually have the first 2 books in the Spellslinger series, I believe, or definitely the first one. So I figured I'd start with that one since I already own that. And these are all in Kindle, the ones that I own. I think there's 11 or 12 books in that series, if you include the novellas and such, and other various works in there. So I'm very excited to complete all of my series, figure out all of what's going on with all of my read-alongs and book clubs that I'm a part of, all the series that we're reading for that, and then possibly start a couple of series as well. So what series do you want to complete this year? Have you read any of the series or any of the books that I've mentioned? And if so, what did you think? Are there any series that you're excited to start this year, or ones that you've been putting off and want to get through them this year? Let me know in the comments. So as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want to, so you don't miss any videos from me. And as always, I will see you in the comments. Bye.